work on Jewish holidays, we work on Parsha, which is the Torah portion, and that's pretty much what we focus on a lot of this class. Her birthday, we give them a lot of responsibilities. In our class, we have a turtle that we're working really hard to be really kind with, and so show some love to. We have Shabbos party every Friday, which we get excited for Shabbos, and that's pretty much what we do in this class. You could look around and see what we do. We have a calendar. We run back each month, and this is what we come up. I'm going to give you a paper with things that just spoke about and prepare I don't know to
Thank you.
Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for being here present. And so obviously in the morning I'm covering general studies in English. And my number one goal is I'm interested in the whole child approach. The social, emotional part, obviously the academic part, but the social emotional is extremely important because it affects how they learn as well. It affects academics. So I usually try to integrate social emotional learning within the lessons, right? But for obviously the goal that I have for kindergarten is to develop those reading those skills necessary, right, for the reading process, and that involves phonological awareness, phonics, and so forth. For the first graders, my goal is to, again, continue building those reading skills and turn those skills and turn the first graders into fluent readers, right? That's our focus, and it's a combination also as phonological awareness, phonics, a lot of guided reading and independent reading takes place in small groups. With writing, it's very important because there's a lot of writing now that they are, here in kindergarten and also in first grade. Remember, this is a combined classroom. So we start with the basics with writing with the kindergartners. I noticed that some of them are doing very well writing their names. It's important to remind them to use letter formation when we write our names, in the case with a capital letter and it's followed by lower cases. So we're beginning with that, right? As a matter of fact, when they come in, they're supposed to sign in, and what can I tell you? If I see that some of them can move on to writing also their last names, then I will allow them to do that. And then we practice writing the tall letters. I don't know if you can see how I have it here when they're sitting here. And that's how I'm teaching, actually. That's an example. The tall letters, the small letters, and those letters that hand or dig in the dirt. I also have it on my side over here. They still need guidance. They still need redirection, right? So writing is again, they have journals to reinforce those skills. And right now, I don't know if you noticed that the kindergarten, we're doing the write the room, again, just to encourage and incorporate writing activities. First graders, they do it too, but right now they're doing something different with their journals. Sometimes they're reading, and we have different levels, different reading levels going on here. They're quite independent, so if they get stuck with a word, for those first graders, they need to write on their journal and then we go over it, right? That's how it is. And the same thing can happen with kindergartners, maybe with a cipher and so forth. For mathematics, we're learning to count, represent, and compare numbers up to 20. This is for obviously kindergartners. Understanding number one, understanding how numbers work. And usually when I'm doing my meetings here, I usually have a friend to come and help me, and we go over different concepts that in mathematics that are important. Obviously, how we write number 5, right? In numeral, in Word, we bring the concept of the 10 frames, and the tally marks, and also, so as you can see, usually this is like a small group, and this is like writing and different situations, different concepts going on. But over here, you can see that it turns into like sensory, but still like learning. And an example of the tally mark concept here, well, they can literally come and use number 5 and then make the tablet, right? So they still learning, they playing and learning. Give me 1 second. I like my classroom to see movement. Obviously, an organized movement and an organized mess, right? Because that's how they learn. What do I mean by that? Okay, they could be doing a mathematical a problem. So over here on the station, you can see that we have counters, we have rulers. What else do we have here? Dice. Sometimes there's games that they do with this, and it's challenging also for, you know, we have challenging objects for obviously our first grade, right, students. So again, they're not rigid on a chair, and no, they're open to come and use the objects they need. So let me see what else. We also, obviously science and social studies is part of the teaching that takes place in the classroom. What I do with science and social studies, I do it like project, like into a project-based learning. So everybody's learning, obviously with the first graders. I'm going to challenge and adjust that lesson. And obviously with the kindergarten, it will be at their appropriate level. But usually, yes, I do even some social emotional learning, science, and social studies. I do all that into a project-based learning activity. Obviously,